Thanks everyone for joining us again. We're coming from the Pro Climber Built to Last studio, the mobile. In fact, it's always a mobile Pro Climber.
Yeah, and we're with Climber Shore this week in Adelaide.
Yep.
Or this for one night.
But
last night.
we're also surrounded right now, encased in the Pro Climber products in Jackson from Enduro's certified passive house display home here in Mount Barker.
I don't know if you know this, but I live in a passive house, and then going from the night before.
No, hang on, wait a minute. You live in a passive house? You've never talked about it.
So, funnily enough, last night, I think I told you this in the car, because I'm used to such stable temperatures overnight now. I didn't have a doona on, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was like, fuck, it's cold. Completely forgot.
Well, we're staying in Hahndorf last night, and that's pretty much like the climate that I'm used to in Warrandyte. So last night was just perfect for me.
Had a nice hot shower there. That was nice.
So today we are joined by JTurner from JT Constructions.
How'd you come up with your business name?
I don't know. It was a bit of a struggle, wasn't it?
Yeah. You guys should probably have a chat.
That was my first question.
It was funny. My old boss, his was DNA Hamilton Construction, so I think I've just rolled with just the name.
I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but way back when, 20 odd years ago, I started a little sole trader carpentry company. It was called HS White Carpentry. So, I haven't always been Sanctum Homes.
Is it still registered?
I still get phone calls.
It's his bucket company, I think.
Random marketing people, and they're like, hello, is this Hamish from HS White Carpentry? I'm like, what?
Is it from High Pages? Would you like to sign up?
Probably High Pages.
I've asked them to take me off their call list a million times, and they still refuse to.
So James joining us today. James and I have been cross paths a number of times in the last few years. Were you in Live Life Build for a second?
No, I was actually right on the borderline of joining up when Kyle rang me.
Yep, that's right. So since then, Future Builder, but I reckon we've talked prior to that on social media. But anyway, so, I guess we've had like this parasocial relationship for the past 3 or 4 years. James, do you want to just introduce yourself to our listeners, and then we'll get stuck in?
Yep. Obviously, James, JTurner Constructions. Been in business probably coming up almost 9 years now. I'm a carpenter by trade and never really had any real desire to start my own business. The plan was always to sort of take over my old employer's business. And then playing footy, tore my ACL, and that was sort of a bit of a moment where my boss just said, I can't have you employed anymore, you're going to have to be a subbie. So that sort of got me thinking, went away on a bit of an overseas trip and came back and decided to start my own business from then on. And it just went from there. I sort of subbed to him for a little while and then took the plunge, I think, back in 2017.
So running a business was always a goal, just you had envisioned maybe taking over someone else's?
Yeah, I think that was just always the talk, that I was just going to keep working for him. He had a young son that was sort of, I guess, coming up to the age where he was going to start an apprenticeship, and the plan was that I would take him through, and that was just always the thought, that I would just sort of work for him, and whether or not I'd eventually take over his business.
Is he still operating?
He is, yes. I bump into him every now and then. He's still going, just doing small little renos, and saw him, I think, late last year, and he wanted to send me a project because he was looking to quieten down, but I think he's decided to take it on, so he's still going.
And what kind of work do you guys do, in which area?
So we're based down on the Fleurieu Peninsula. We do custom homes and renovations and extensions.
And has that always been something that you guys have done, like custom homes and renovations through your apprenticeship? And did you do your apprenticeship with your previous employer?
Yes, yeah. Yep. So we did like general building, so I got a real grasp on all different facets of building.
Top to bottom, set out, concreting, framing.
Which was good. So by trade, technically, is that what you've done?
What's that, a carpenter?
Yes.
Yeah. I got a good exposure to, I guess, all the trades and dealing with a lot of the trades during the project. So I enjoyed that, I guess, end-to-end type of work. We just started out with just doing whatever we could. Like we did small decks, and then it moved to small renovations, and then larger renovations and extensions, and then sort of into our first new home in, I think, 2018, and just sort of went from there.
So you said you did your ACL, and I guess that was a moment where your boss sort of said, I can't have that liability. of you playing footy and, potentially missing out on work. You decide to go overseas. Like, what happened in that time? Like, where was your head at? You've done your knee. You're obviously out for 6 to 12 weeks. Did you then go overseas for an extended period of time, like take a break from carpentry?
I had that trip booked in. Like I was going overseas with my wife on I think 8 or 9 week trip of Europe. So I already had that trip booked in, but then I did my ACL. I think I was off for maybe 6 weeks of work, went back for about another 6 weeks and then had the trip. So obviously had a lot of time. But I guess at that stage of my career, I was still very much like I've come from a football AFL background.
Yeah.
Love my footy, so my only ever goal at that stage was to rehab my knee to get back to playing footy.
Yep.
I was only playing country footy, but I just lived and breathed it.
Yep. Okay.
Do you still play?
I don't play now. No, it was sort of.
Listen in that one, Matthew. I know you're still running around.
Yeah, the knees were probably the end of it for me.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, obviously went on the trip and then sort of came back and then had that conversation with my employer and just thought, you know what, I'm going to go out and get my subbie's license, do my builder's course, and it just sort of went from there.
Was there any moment in that period of time where you thought, oh, maybe I'll look at doing something else, or has it always been carpentry?
No, I think it was always carpentry. Yeah.
And did you finish school, go straight into a trade, or not finish school?
So I finished year 12.
Yep.
And then straight out of school, because AFL was big for me, so I was drafted by the Crows as a rookie.
Oh, really?
I spent 12 months. It's not something I guess.
We had a
overly
superstar
talk
in
about
there.
anymore. It's another whole lifetime ago now.
What era of the Crows?
So I managed to catch the end of like Andrew McLeod, Mark Prosciutto,
Yeah, okay.
like Simon Goodwin, those type of guys.
Would they know you if they walk down the street now?
Probably not, no. So a little funny story. First day I was ever introduced by Neil Craig, who was a coach at the time, introduced me as Jason Turner, not James Turner. And Andrew McLeod's locker was next to mine. So he was like a childhood hero of mine. So like first day rocking up to the club, my locker's right next to him. So I was like fangirling big time. And then he just proceeded to call me Jason for the whole time that I was there. So
Did you ever decide to correct him?
No, he was doing it as a piss take.
Okay.
He was doing it on purpose.
Okay.
He had I guess, a bit of a dry sense of humour. So he was doing it on purpose, and it was always a good laugh. But
I've actually never had the opportunity to ask anyone this. So you're obviously massive footy fan, Crows fan, and then next minute you're sitting next to your like arguably idol. How does that feel? Like,
it was a bit interesting to start with because I was fangirling a little bit, but then it just, I guess you
just fall into the system.
You just fall into the system. I feel like I was straight out of high school, so I had to grow up super quick.
Yep.
I felt I was probably too young at the time to be in that sort of environment because it is full on. Like you're straight into there. You're 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Like training every day. So I probably look back on it now and probably thought I was probably 1 or 2 years a bit young at the time in terms of maturity.
How long were you there for?
Only 12 months.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I probably felt my better footy days were probably like post that, but it was, I guess.
You missed the boat.
Yeah.
It's the nature of a rookie contract back then. I think they've changed that now. Don't they usually have at least 2 years?
Back then they could give rookie contracts to some players for 2 years, but the Crows are always, it was just one. That was just, at that stage, that was their sort of blanket rule.
Yeah. There you go. And then so from there, like, did a year of that, and then it's like, right, well, I need to sort of pivot and change direction here. Had carpentry always been something that you were interested in?
Were you close to staying on though? Or was it just you knew?
I guess it's hard to say. Your manager sort of always tells you that, everything looks good, you're staying on, and then went to my exit meeting, it's just like, oh shit, now what? Like footy was just my whole life. It was like, okay, well, we'll spend a year, go back to the state league, and we'll try and get another spot. But that obviously didn't eventuate. So I think I went straight from that. I think I did furniture removal for about 3 months, which was a big fall from grace. But I needed work at the time, and then I was working for a training and employment company called ATEC, just to put clients who are on Centrelink into work, and I just happened to see an ad in the local messenger for a carpentry apprenticeship and decided to slip my resume in with some of my clients and ended up getting an interview.
Is that a conflict of interest?
And there was sort of a few things that happened. There was apparently another friend of one of the current apprentices that was a shoo-in to get the job, didn't rock up to his interview, so everything just sort of fell in place and I ended up getting the job.
Was carpentry something that you were interested in? Or
I loved it at school. So the plan was through year 12, I was all the, I guess, vocational education. I did like a doorways to construction course.
Yes, yep.
So that was the plan, and obviously then spent the 12 months in the AFL system, and then went back to carpentry after that.
So I might jump ahead, Aim. You made a comment to us that you nearly threw in the towel.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, in your form. You were close.
Yep. So that was definitely a lot further on.
Yeah,
that was
so
probably only.
I want to jump to that part.
Yep.
Yeah.
We can jump to that. That was probably 2 and a bit years ago. It was just a combination of things. It was me not really having a huge clue on how to run a profitable and successful business. Didn't really know how to estimate properly. Didn't know probably how to manage people effectively at that time. Just had a few things. Obviously, COVID hit, lost a shitload of money, and just thought, I'm done. Like, I was getting up early in the morning, walking the streets just to clear my head, starting to think about ways and how I was going to tell my staff, how I was going to tell my current clients, upcoming clients that I was done. I was just ready to pull the pin. And then I think I listened to a podcast by the Association of Professional Builders. They did a podcast on how to close down a construction business, and I listened to that and went, "Fuck, that's too hard. Like it's going to take 2 years to close down a business." And sort of my wife we just had a good chat one night, and we just said, "Let's give it one more crack." And I ended up doing a course called the Rising Kings, which is like a men's course, and that was about 8 or 9 weeks, which was a good little turning point for me mentally. Like, I was quite open with people if they asked how I was going. I was like, I'm struggling. Like,
Was that a construction course?
No.
Just like
it's just like personal development. It's just like a big part of it is just doing a lot of like little daily habits just to get you into some structure. And reflecting on different aspects of your life and doing some deeper work. So,
Have you talked about that in the Future Builder chat before, or has it been?
No.
I swear someone else in the Future Builder chat has talked about Rising Kings before.
I got it actually from, you might know him from Live Life Build, Brett from Saltash Homes.
Brett, okay,
But that's where
I reckon that's where it's from.
I
Yes,
listened
that's
to
it.
one of his
Yep.
podcasts.
Yep.
And that's where I got it from.
So talk to me about more about
think
this.
Brett listened to this podcast. I talked to him a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was really great to reconnect with Brett.
So
He's a
I did
ripper
it because
fella.
I listened to it. I heard him mention
Yeah,
it. So I
okay.
looked it up.
Yeah.
Talk to me more about this Rising Kings. Like, what I want to go into that a little bit deeper because I think it's really important that before we get onto other coaching and training that you might have done, that I want to understand how that changed everything. And so do you want to expand on what was involved?
Yeah. So I guess a big part of it is trying to get a lot of structure in like your daily habits. So you have to do things like you had to have a particular green smoothie every morning, 1 minute cold shower, 30 minutes of exercise, I think 5 minutes of breath work, 10 minutes of meditation, journaling. Like, there's all different things that you had to tick off every day, and you weren't meant to drink during it. I think if you drink, you would have to sort of, I guess, own up to it that you had. I think the penalty was like 200 burpees or something like that. That if you drunk during the...
Did you do 200 burpees?
No, I did it on the
Daily.
last day purely because I just wanted to see what doing 200 burpees was like.
I've done 200 burpees before. It's fucking horrible. And
Yeah, it
takes
was.
about
It was
25 minutes.
disgusting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the first time. I'm not a big drinker, but we had a couple of like events that not long after I started, we had like we'd paid for this ticket to our favourite restaurant was teaming up with a winery, and we were going there, and it was like all you could drink, and I was shit scared. I'm like, people are going to ask me like, why aren't you drinking? And they're going to like have a go at me, and no one asked me like throughout the whole day, and I'm like, oh, okay, well maybe it's not such a big thing. So
Just on that, I stopped drinking 2.5 years ago, right? And I've gotten zero desire to start again, and that's just me personally, right? It suits me well. I had exactly the same thing when I stopped drinking. I was worried that people were going to get stuck into me for not drinking, because drinking in the building industry and at the end of the weekend, like end of the week and all that kind of stuff, is I'll have a beer and whatever. People just don't care.
no.
And I feel like now in 2026, there's more people that I know in my circle that are either cutting back severely or just stopping drinking.
Isn't the biggest growing market or one of, and it's non-alcoholic beverages? They pay zero tax on it.
Yeah,
It's
probably
bought up.
kombucha or something like that.
But I also feel that, my age, I'm in my 40s now, you're sort of late 30s, you as well. I feel like we're getting to that time where we're kind of realising that alcohol's not that great for our body?
Yeah, well, my thing is if my wife and I go out for dinner, I'll have an espresso martini. Like that's
Great.
the one
Yep.
time that,
Yep.
and we do it because we get joy out of it. I'm
Yep.
not getting it for the hit of alcohol.
Yep.
But the next day, I'm just like, how the fuck do people
Yep.
my age go out, drink on a Saturday night, and then function? Like I wouldn't function for 3 or 4 days, and then your week's done. As a business owner, you just can't do that.
So it feels like, just to sort of keep going with that conversation around resilience and all that stuff, like you sort of fast forward to what Matt was saying before. You've obviously over the years have this history of trying things and I guess picking yourself up when you've fallen over, this Rising Kings thing, but then you got to a point 2.5-3 years ago where you're like, you know what, I'm done. So what are some of the steps that you've taken now or over the last 3 years to get to where you are now? Well, you obviously feel, and just listening to you in the builders chat, the future builders chat, you seem like you're in a much better place. So what are some of the things that you've done over the last 3 or 4 years to help you get to where you are now?
Like, have you continued to implement those things from the Rising Kings?
I still have elements of the structure of it. I never really resonated much with like journaling or meditation. That just wasn't for me. Like I love exercise. That's getting that structure back because I was so in my football days. I was always fit. I was always out running, doing that type of thing. And then I probably dropped right off of that. And that's probably where I noticed the shift in my headspace and where I was mentally is I just wasn't putting the time and energy into exercising, look after my body. So that was a big one for me, having a lot of structure for that. And now that's just part of my life now. I've had to adjust. It was a big adjustment when we had kids. Like
How old are your kids?
6 and 4. We've got another little one on the way.
When are you due?
October, early October.
Want to know what it is?
No, we didn't find out with both of ours. Haven't found out.
So what have you got? What are you, 6 and 4-year-old? Boys or girls?
6-year-old boy, 4-year-old girl, yeah.
Nice.
And my 4-year-old daughter's an absolute ball breaker.
Probably has you wrapped around your little finger as well,
Yeah,
no doubt.
definitely, most definitely.
Yeah. Awesome. So exercise, it sounds like you're starting to get these rhythms back in your life that kind of, I know especially for me, exercise and my diet, it pretty much sets the tone, the baseline for how I operate throughout the day. If I don't have them locked in, then everything else kind of falls apart. They're kind of like the backbone of how I operate. You mentioned in the form you filled out that you made the decision to have another crack. You've then done Zara D'Cotta's course.
Yep.
And it's kind of set you off on a different trajectory in life. Mm-hmm. Do you maybe want to talk through that a little bit for us?
Yeah, so I was probably at a stage in, I guess, more so building that I was just a bit like, I didn't have no real direction. I wasn't passionate about building. And then I came across Zara's course and thought, it just sort of like spiked my interest a little bit and joined up with her course. And that was a bit of a shift or a turning point for me just in my building journey. I hadn't learnt or anything about passive house or high performance or anything at that stage. It was just looking at the house holistically and all the elements and materials that go into it and the effects on, I guess, the health of your body. And my wife is very much, I guess, passionate about the food that we eat, the environment that we're in. She's super passionate about that. So that's helped me, I guess, dive into that a little bit more. And it just felt very much aligned listening to her talk and doing her course. Just sort of sparked my interest.
What were some of the takeaways that you got from Zara's course?
Because
I've done it as well.
Yeah, it was just looking at the house holistically and looking at like carpets. Like we were noticing, like our kids, like especially our son, he had like 2 ear infections, like burst both his eardrums, and I was just like scraping my brain to think what is going on. Like as I said, I had no exposure to passive house or anything, so I didn't really understand about the health of your home at that stage.
Yep.
And I was scraping my brain, going like what's going on with the house, and then I started to understand about mould, and like dust and carpets and that type of thing. So we've ripped the carpets out of his room. He's still just got a concrete floor currently in his bedroom. He loves it. The kids have drawn chalk all over it. We've just left it as it is.
Has it made a difference?
Yeah, most definitely. And then we bought I think I spoke to Zara about like the little like portable air filters as well. So we've got one of them. It was just sort of, that was probably the trigger to be like, okay, why is the kids and why is my wife still constantly getting sick,
Yeah.
they're the ones that were home all the time when I was out at work, so I wasn't exposed to it in the house as long.
So I did the course, and I've known Zara for a long time. I've had her on some SBA stuff, and I did the course, and I've had many robust conversations with Zara about some of the things that she talks about. There are a lot of things that I agree with. There are a lot of things that I don't necessarily agree with. And
Like what?
That's actually okay. I'm not going to go into that. But one of the things that that really did resonate with me, and I really, I guess, thank Zara for bringing to my attention, was carpet.
Yeah.
Because we've moved from this beautiful, completely renovated extended home in Warrandyte 2 or 3 years ago to a home that's got carpet that is 40 years old. And it's fucking gross.
It's a filter.
So I've got a 9-month-old, and she's always got a runny nose. And I said to Lucy, I'm pretty sure that it's the environment that we're in right now that's causing a lot of these things where coughs hang around for a little bit longer. And we have longer term plans to renovate and extend this home. So I know at some point it will be okay.
Did you rip the carpet out? Because if you think about this logically, and not to call anyone out or yourself, but that's been there for 40 years. It's a filter. We see our HRV filter, and then that's what the surface they're crawling around on.
I know you're absolutely right, and we've ended up pulling carpet out in a whole bunch of areas and put just some
Vinyl
floors that I got off Marketplace down, right?
Yep.
And just to kind of make it a little bit nicer. But I was crawling around on the carpet with Junie on the weekend, and I'm just looking at the carpet going, this is fucking gross. But then I look at what I need to do to rip the carpet out. I got to take the bed out. I got to take this out, and it's like, oh, maybe I need to do it. Maybe I need to do it. Maybe you've inspired me. Maybe
Just
I've
do it
got
in sections. Cut a section out, move the bed across, and pull it out.
You know what? That's actually not a bad idea. I've got some flooring that I can put down.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, it's also we talk about surface area. It's a large portion of the house where you'd have carpet, but also I understand the opposite argument where. And I think this is where we get confused about building better and the health and comfort of the building, because the floor is really the only surface we're in touch on a house. We walk around bare feet, and it's the only real connection we have to the house. You're not sitting your body up against the back of a wall on the plaster where you feel the cool side of the plaster or something. So people have associated having carpet with a form of comfort because it's warmer. But what if we just built better?
Yep.
And insulated the floor or subfloor, and then that warmth is already there?
Well, there was a section in our house. So we did a really quick reno just so it was not a shit place to live in. And we kept a section. We put new carpet down in a section where the TV was, because we were pregnant with Junie, and Lisa's like, I really kind of want her on the floor. Well, I'm not putting her on that gross carpet. So we just got some new carpet put down in that section there. But yeah, I think when we renovate and extend, we'll probably not put carpet.
But there are also some carpets now that have declare labels on them that are from spun corn, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Godfrey Hurst there. So there's no nasties in them. Having said that, it's still going to collect.
Still captures the dust and stuff like
yeah.
that. Obviously, we're not seeking any carpet sponsors for the...
I think the big one was little spill, say, water or something on carpet, which we're young kids, so there was stuff getting spilled on all the time. If it's not dry within the first little part, then mould could potentially start.
But isn't that any
and
surface?
You just can't see that in the carpet.
Isn't that plaster? Of kids isn't that really could be the same if?
I think carpet's probably a little bit more susceptible.
Yeah.
It's a horizontal surface.
Yeah.
It's not going to dry
no,
as
I
easy
know.
as plaster. So you've done Zara's course. I guess it sparked some passion again.
Yeah.
So where's that kind of what kind of direction did that then send you on for your business?
So then I was like, right, I want to get back into, I've done a bit of business coaching as well. I've worked with a couple of ones previously, and then I was right on the borderline of joining up with one, a well-known one. And then I just got a random call out of the blue from Kyle from Future Builder one day. And I think I was actually looking to sign up with the other one that day. So he literally timed it to perfection.
What changed your mind between the difference?
Just what he explained about what was involved and what they were going to provide from training and assets and white labelling all the documentation and stuff they had from their business. And I was like, yep, that's what I've been looking for. There was elements of the other ones that I was like were great, but there was also elements where there was parts missing. So what he, spoke to me, and then I jumped on a group Zoom, I think the following day, and I remember jumping off the call and I said to my admin at the time, I'm like, I found what I need from a business development point of view, and I signed up, I think, straight away. They hadn't actually kicked off at that stage. It was sort of like a pre-sign up, but that was probably the catalyst for me. And then that's when I started to learn about passive house and high performance, because I was around.
So at that point, you had no idea really to...
Hadn't even heard the term.
Yeah, wow.
Is that right?
No.
2.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
It might have come across in Zara's course somewhere, but not enough to, I guess, spike my interest to look into it.
It wouldn't. It probably wouldn't have, having done it and knowing some of the messaging that, like, they're just separate things.
Yeah.
Like?
They're just separate things. Like, Zara's more talking about like the elements that go into a home.
But they're kind of intertwined, though. I'd feel like
100%.
Yeah, this is where I'm pushing.
100%. But it's not like, having done Zara's course and done the passive house course and obviously built a bunch of passive houses. They're just different things.
But fundamentally, they're trying to achieve the same thing.
I think together they're like, if you kind of look at the building blocks of like getting a good business and finding a good direction, all of it has really good value.
So I pushed on that because I just didn't want people thinking they're literally like
no, they're not
enemies.
Sorry,
no,
they're certainly not enemies, but they're very much like they coexist together. For sure, definitely.
I don't know if this is jumping ahead a little bit too, because we had an event last night in the same room, and you asked a really good question when we sort of had open mic. Do you remember what your question was? And I think this is really good because it kind of goes into, like, for you finding passive house and then obviously now wanting to transition, which I think we find a lot of architects, builders, engineers, tradies in the boat you're in right now. And you asked a question I think is very valid for everyone.
How do we get from zero to doing what you're doing?
That came up right at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And as soon as you asked the question, I'm like, oh, that's a great podcast episode, because like I can't answer it now because it's 5:55.
But I think so. I will give my opinion on this one here a little bit. So someone reached out to me recently. I can't even remember who it was, and they're like, "You're at level 1 of passive house. I'm at level 1 of passive house knowledge, and you're at level 100. How do I get there?" And I'm like, "Well, I was level 1 day 2. Yep. At one point, I didn't know what passive house was. I then knew about it. I then learned, and then you sort of like, it takes effort. It's not, someone's not going to sit there feeding you with a spoon with all the information and knowledge and answers. Whilst we, as a community, would have a lot of the answers, it's something I think learning to talk about it and market and sell and convince a client is a challenge. We probably got lucky. So
I think... this is just my take on it. I think because our journey in passive house, I think, started at a very similar time, within 12 months of each other, right? So pre-COVID, whenever that was. I think the major difference between when we kind of pivoted our business to where you are right now is, I think it's easier now, but it's also harder now. So, and let me break that down. When we decided to do it, there wasn't as much information out there. So the resources that we were drawing on were quite finite.
We just told a client, we go, hey, we're building you a passive house.
Well, I guess the point I'm making is that, Justin, Devon, Burkhard, like there was only a handful of people that we could go and get the answers for. And, these were tried and tested businesses that were doing the thing. The problem now, which is also, it's a double-edged sword, is that there is so much information out there.
Yeah.
Like the information
not always correct either.
Well, this is what I'm getting at. It's freely available. Everyone's got an opinion on it. Everyone's going on and saying they're a high-performance builder, which I think's fucking incredible, right?
Also a load of crap. I'm going to say it too.
Okay, fine, but that's not where I'm going. Like I think it's incredible that we've got more and more people that are like yourself. Go, this is what I want to do. I want to build better homes. The tricky part is actually finding out what the right information is.
Yeah.
So I think in one way it's easier, but then the other way is hard because it's harder to filter all the stuff.
But there's multiple parts of information here. So you've got the technical knowledge and know-how. You've probably got then the building and on-site sort of know-how that you've got to understand. And I think that's something that you'll just pick up by mistake. So that's the easiest one as a builder or tradie to work through, because you've installed a window before. You can see a set of plans and sort of find on YouTube or Instagram how to install that window. So that's the easiest one. The technical knowledge just comes with repetition. So the amount of conversations or PHPP meetings you have with Cam, you pick things up along the way. and you learn. And every time you come to that meeting being like, oh, didn't know about that, better read up on that. I think then you go into other aspects. It's the sales. Because if you can market, it's very easy to market yourself as a passive house builder. Or passive house architect or whatever. Like that's, I would say, pretty easy, Hamish.
Yeah, it is. But
you can fake it till you make it.
Yeah, it is. But that's probably getting to the point where I'm saying it's actually harder now because there's a lot of noise out there.
But I think we've got confused with marketing versus sales here. I think we've got to understand they're two separate things, because marketing is showing what you do and what the brand you have and those sort of things. But being able to talk about it and sell the product is a whole different thing.
Yeah, but this is not necessarily helping James. We're talking about all the problems here. We're not necessarily solving them. Like I think if I was to give you some advice, it's trying to then filter out the noise and then literally just work back to the basics. Like, what is passive house? What are the 5 principles of passive house? What are the things that I need to do in my business to transition to that? Try not to get too caught up in what everybody else is doing. I was about to say, and this is probably going to sound a little bit arrogant, unless you're looking at the Matts, unless you look at the Hamishes, unless you look at the Mark from MVH, the Orwins, the people that have runs on the board, Jackson, the perfect person that you could pick his brain. And, knowing Jackson pretty well, and hopefully Jackson, don't mind me saying that, he would not care if you just said, can I just sit down with you for an afternoon? Like, he is so...
Don't everyone call Jackson.
Don't everyone... I'm saying, James, you can call Jackson, giving you permission to. Yeah. I'll put it in the show notes. But, like, mate, because if you look at... Okay, it's going to be a win-win for Jackson, right? He educates you. He helps you, I guess, establish some of the things that you need to do in your business. He then goes, here, go and talk to Jess, because then you can buy the product from the other business that I own. Yeah. Right, so it sort of fulfills itself.
But I think this is what. But I 100% agree. But I think breaking into silos is almost important when you talk into facets of the building, whether it's marketing, sales, technical, because it allows you, gives you little goals to focus on within them. Because if you don't, for example, if you can't explain passive house clearly, well, how can you market it? Then how can you sell it? Because if it is honestly the easiest thing to market.
Agree, but that's where he needs to find the basics, though. You need to know what those 5 principles are, so then you can talk to them. Yeah. Because if you listen to the consumer that was in here last night asking those questions, she's like, I just.
Who was also in marketing.
Who's also in marketing? She goes, I just want to feel the emotion.
Yeah.
But how can you sell the emotion if you don't know the fundamentals of it? They don't want to hear about all the stats, all the metrics that you need to hear, because as far as I'm concerned, they're fucking boring.
And even on that, I would say they also don't want to hear that you're putting a HRV in the house. You don't need to. To me, that can come once you explain why comfort and health are important.
I'd challenge that,
because you can get to that along the way. I don't think you jump in at the start and go, we're going to put in HRV.
True. You're right. I think you need to talk about how comfortable and healthy it's going to be.
That's what I mean.
And then all of these things exist because, like, you talk about all the boring data later.
What's the book called? Start with Why.
Start with Why by Simon Sinek.
And I think it's a really good book for people to read, because it's the same principle with the principle of selling a passive house or high performance home or a comfortable home. Because and this is my opinion, I don't think passive house sells. I think what sells is health and comfort and durability and resilience and control and durability. Like we can go on, but those key words are also now very greenwashed.
Yep.
They are overused by people who don't use them correctly.
Yep.
So they're also getting like washed out. So you've got to be creative and look beyond those words again to explain to the client why it's important. It most clients already get it. They actually understand it, but then you got to find what's emotional to them and what their pain barrier is and why are they coming to you. Usually for me, it's like we want a healthy, comfortable home. So I don't have to explain it to them, but I still need to sometimes get them across the line, and you can always revert back to their why.
Do you know, I was thinking just then as Matt was talking, I reckon you're in a really unique opportunity to actually tell your story now and tell your journey to your clients.
Be vulnerable.
Be vulnerable and actually, jump on social media today and go, hey, you know what? Today is day 1 of my journey of becoming a better builder, and these are how we're going to do it. And then you literally have this like vlog that that you can do over the next 6 to 12 months of this progression of things that you've learned and goals that you're setting for yourself. And if you've got engaged clients that see this development over this time, like they're going to be naturally attracted to that.
People love people.
People are going to buy off people. Right, okay, so Matt and I have got the advantage. We've got years of runs of the board. I can jump on and say, look at this house, HRV, ventilated cavities, all the
Which
blower doors.
site's going to come on,
all that kind of stuff, because we've done it before.
Watch my Grand Designs episode,
really unique, this really unique opportunity to tell a different story about growth, and I reckon people are going to resonate with that.
It's funny, my project manager rang me after the event last night on the way home. He thought, I left because he was having a chat with one of the other supervisors about building details, and I had to get home to put the kids to bed, but he rang me and he's like, what was your key takeaway? And we obviously spoke about the marketing aspect, and he's like, I love the pretty videos that we do, and you touched on it last night, but he's like, we just need to do more just like face to camera, just more conversational type ones. Like I did a video the other day, I think on Friday, the house that we're building at the moment, we have a volume builder right next to us, and it was a pigsty. No sight fences.
Right.
There was no bin. There was rubbish everywhere. So I was like,
I would frost
a custom versus. I covered the business up. Like I wasn't going to rat any builders out or throw them under the bus, but it was just a real stark contrast between the two. And I got heaps of like feedback from it, like all positive. The most engagement I've had on something for quite a while.
It's also brand awareness, because the consumer might not buy now, but they might buy in a year. And so a lot of the thing that I get when people reach out to us is, I've been following you for years, or I've been listening to your podcast for years. It's not, don't expect to put something out today and get 50 calls or 50 people wanting to build a passive. You have to play the long game.
100%. And this is what I was saying. I reckon you've got a really unique opportunity here to play on your journey.
And
people love a good news story, right?
And
this is where I was, this is where I want to get to, and this is what I'm doing along the way. I feel like, just the lady that was here last night, like I reckon that would resonate with her.
So we constantly, Hamish and I constantly talk about our marketing approach and what we're doing, and from newsletters to website to social media posts, whatever. And we both understand that we have our stuff copied because it's worked.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we also copy people because I look at other industries to see what's working. Like all my ideas are not original. Like I have looked at something else from another industry and gone, I can maybe tweak that to bring into our industry. What you can't do, I think, from a marketing perspective, is look at what, and this goes for, and this isn't just builders, this is architects, anyone. I think you can't just look at what's working now because that's already happening now. You need to, and that's why I don't care sharing my information or sharing what we do, because by the time you go implement what we've done from a marketing perspective, we're already
you're at next step.
We're at the next thing. So I think people need to look at what is the next thing, or what, and you have to not be afraid to fail when you're marketing message. And I constantly try different types of content, and they literally have 10 likes. I'm like, cool, that's not working. But I'll try it again. I'll try it 3-4 times and go, okay, that didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, so getting back to your scenario, it's also going to make you really accountable, because if you're jumping on and saying, I'm going to do this, and you genuinely want people to follow on, and you've got this really great opportunity to have this sort of nurturing process over the next 6 to 12 months, you then need to back it the fuck up.
Yeah, and I think in terms of the team that we have, like we're on that path.
Who was the guy that was here last night?
That's Alec, my project manager.
Mate, he's a legend.
So he runs all of the construction side.
Yeah.
And he's a trade favourite, client favourite.
Yeah.
All my clients say to me, do whatever you can to keep holding him.
Yeah.
Because he's unreal, and he's got full buy-in to
don't pump him up
going
too much.
down
He's
that.
ask for money.
Is he moving to Melbourne?
Yeah. Melbourne's a great place to live.
So in terms of that aspect, I'm super comfortable with us being able to, I guess, do that type of work.
Yeah.
I don't have any qualms about that.
What's your biggest fear?
What's that? Sorry.
What's your biggest fear?
Obviously not. Like I really want to get to that level. For me, it's just figuring out how to get to that level. I've always had, and it's probably stemmed from my football days, I've always had a big fear of failure.
Yep.
I feel like I'm better at it now. Like I've probably got to just a space in life where I'm a bit more comfortable in my own skin. Don't really care so much about what people think about what I do. So for now, it's just for us figuring out, okay, well, how do we get from where we are currently to the level that I want to get to? And obviously, we've touched on the marketing side of things, and that's my part of the business.
Yep.
That's the marketing part. So I know that I need to get my face on the camera a lot more and a lot more
Scary.
educational content.
People buy from people.
So what's holding you back?
We're literally right on the cusp. Like I'm literally just about. I bought a what do you call it? Like a projector thing, like a monitor. So I can sit there and record a lot of like
a teleprompt?
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. A teleprompter. So I only got that like last week.
They're the hardest things to use. I find them that's where I fuck up everything.
Yeah, I'm like off the cuff.
I'll give you a tip. Have you purchased it?
I've got it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. The easiest way to honestly do it is just film all your content on site.
Yep.
Just film stuff
and just do voiceover.
Cut it up and voiceover, and eventually you can create like a script through, say Gemini or something to talk how they want it.
Yep.
And it will give you the script, and then you just adjust it to suit.
So I've created all the scripts. I've worked with James from Automation
Great.
Team.
Yep.
Got all the scripts there ready to go. Sort of tweak them all to sound like us. So I've literally got the content. I now just have to go out and shoot it all and do it all, and then start putting it out there.
Yeah. But mate, from what you've told us today, it sounds like you're very much on the right path. Just a couple little tweaks here and there, and I think this thinking about that people buy from people, being really honest to yourself, and then backing up the things that you're going to say. You sound like you've got a really great team as well, supportive wife and family. The reality is you've got another kid on the way. You fucking have to make this work. You've got no other choice.
My follow-on question, because I had 3 that this links in. So, what's the worst that happens?
And that's probably where, I did a bit of work with some counsellors and stuff when I was at my worst.
Yeah.
And that was a question she asked me. She was like, "What's the worst that can happen?" And I'm like,
exactly the same things as that my psychologist used to ask.
Yeah, it's honestly, if you put yourself in front of the camera and you don't get any likes, and likes aren't everything, by the way, but what's the worst?
Nothing. I just keep going on.
It doesn't sound to me that there's a barrier to jump in front of the camera though.
No. But also, I know. But what I'm sort of also where I'm kind of want to get to is when I say what's the worst, you don't need other builders, tradies liking your post or whatever. If you just get one client that's like, I like that,
yeah,
and they buy from you, cool. And that's what we spoke about last night. My biggest pet hate with a lot of social media and building companies right now is they go pay a videographer thousands of dollars to watch me shoot this nail into the frame and look at this window I'm installing. And I don't know what the fuck that's doing from a marketing message, because all you're doing is appealing to other tradies who go, "Oh, that looks sick, bro." And at the end of the day, does a consumer at the end go, "Oh, yeah, I'll purchase that"? Yep. I don't think so.
If I think about the people that I think are doing well, Kyle Zanetto, Dean Backman, Luke Callery, Neil from Future Flip, all these guys are in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Matt Carlin, I know I do it as well because we've got the podcast, SBA, we jump on camera all the time. People are buying from us.
And you can consume us.
People are buying from us. Jackson is an amazing example of, he put so many videos out there of him, and he was telling us last night at dinner that they've got a house under construction right now that he met the client for the first time. But the clients are still buying him.
Yeah.
Because they've seen him and they've seen the brand and they know that he's attached to this.
How neat is he in his tucked-in T-shirt and his...
I'm
here in my large baggy T-shirt and he's
I'm a big fangirl of Jackson. Sorry, Jackson, if that's embarrassing you, but I'm a huge fan.
I think we obviously touched on the marketing side of things, but what we sort of got to at the end of last night was, for builders such as me, when you're trying to get into passive house, high performance building, is how do we get from here to there and understanding the elements that go into a passive house, and not by introducing those elements, not shooting yourself in the foot and doing more harm than good. That's probably where we're at. Obviously, I've done my passive house course. I just have to sit my exam. So I'm starting, and obviously you don't just do that course and all of a sudden you know everything about passive house. I'm very well aware of that. And it's going to be, once again, it's going to be going back to school and just learning from making mistakes. I'm fully aware of that. I feel like there's a lot more from a support network, from people in Future Builder, etc., that we would be able to reach out to from a detailed perspective. I think a podcast you guys did a little while ago with someone, I think he was building his first passive house, and you talked about a lot of details and stuff and what to look out for. That would be a resource I would go back to listen to, because it's just information about how to build a passive house.
So on that, extending yourself, when you do get your first passive house, we'll record another podcast with you, and you can ask us whatever you want, and we'll go through the same process with you. But hey, this is I've got an idea.
Yeah.
I think we should do a bit of role playing here. So me and you, let's call ourselves a couple.
We'd make such a cute couple.
I know. We did get to share a single bed last night, which is cute. We got a bit cold and we cuddled. But I want to play this little game right now where we've come to you to build a healthy, comfortable home, and I want you to try sell it to us.
And we've come to you because we want a sustainable home.
Yeah, we want a sustainable home.
We want a sustainable home.
Yeah.
James, can you build me a sustainable home?
Yeah.
I absolutely believe that we can build a...
No, not believe I can. We can. We can do that.
We can build a sustainable home.
How much is it going to cost?
No, ignore cost, because cost...
No. But these are questions clients ask. Okay. I'm going to... What's it?
Yeah.
You guys had me nervous.
Yeah, this is the whole point of it, because someone's going to come to you.
I did not expect this whatsoever.
I didn't until 2 minutes ago. But we want a comfortable home. We like who you are as a person.
Yeah, we love what you do. We've seen. I've seen your videos over the last 6 months.
Yeah,
really resonate with your business philosophy and your values. Your team sound awesome. Quality of work sounds really great.
We don't have an architect.
I'd really love to build a sustainable home with you.
You're our first point of call.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess we have a particular process where we work with the clients and we put them in contact with an architect that we feel would suit for a high performance or a passive house, and we would work through those steps.
What's passive house? I've never heard of that before.
So passive house is looking at all the different elements, high performance windows, high performance insulation, airtight, thermal bridge free, HRV airtight, HRV mechanical ventilation.
What does all that mean though?
What's that benefit?
That sounds expensive.
Is that a sustainable home?
It does sound expensive. I would say that is a sustainable home because the home is healthy.
I'm worried about. You said airtight, but I'm worried about an airtight home.
Obviously the key part to protect the actual structure of the house is making it nice and airtight, and then you would balance that out with a mechanical heat recovery ventilation to ensure that the air is filtered.
Why can't I just open the windows?
Because what about all the pesticides and everything in the air that comes in, car fumes and all of that?
Yeah, but I live on 20 acres.
Do you live near vines?
Oh yeah, okay.
Glyphosate. That's a whole nother.
I guess you know what I was getting to the point that all of this is great. I think sometimes and we've done it too, where we've tried to get someone on board with it, and they're not interested in all that.
Yeah.
Energy efficiency, health, comfort.
Yeah.
And that's... I don't think I've ever talked about any of those messaging. So, for you, you'd be like, you want a sustainable home, what does sustainable mean to you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You get them to talk. So health and comfort, what would you feel like a healthy and comfortable home feels like? What do you think?
Energy efficient. Yeah. Oh, great. Do you know what? There's a really easy way to do that. We can build you a certified passive house. Oh, what's that?
I would probably use our example of health of our family in the illness and that type of thing.
Yep.
I guess there's a bit of an angle to work to as well.
Yep.
Because you speak to a lot of people and.
Yep. Families and health is a huge one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Oh, that's all right. I'm sweating a little bit now.
No, I think this is the actual challenge of trying to sell passive house. One of the things that I'd really encourage you to do is really understand the modelling and understand how you can use that, even as the preliminary PHPP, as an optimization tool. I say that the PHPP, I've said it 1,000 times, it's an optimization tool. It's optimizing cost, but it's also optimizing the level of comfort and energy efficiency that these clients are after. Because not everyone wants a passive house.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that's fine, awesome. But I also need to understand how thick your insulation is, the kind of windows that we're putting in, we're always going to put a ventilation system in it. So we're all 100% of the time going to put an HRV in because we're always going to make it reasonably airtight. But I'd also want to understand how much air conditioning that we want to put in, because I don't want to just shoot from the hip and say, well, we'll put a 20 kilowatt system in because we don't need it. There's theme of resilience throughout our conversation today. You know, your footy career, and then, you know, you're definitely picking yourself up after you've fallen over and continuing on. We've got this
segment.
You threw me out here, Matt. I had this whole narrative in my head of how I was going to present this today.
The mindful moment.
It's a mindful moment. MEGT Mindful Moment, Australia's biggest apprenticeship provider, who are a sponsor of our podcast. I think there's a lot. There's a lot of lessons for any apprentice that is listening to this conversation, that you might have this idea in your head of where you might be going. Like for you, it's footy, right? And then all of a sudden, it's taken away from you. And the ability to then pick yourself up and move on and go in a different direction. I think that's a really important lesson for any apprentice, because you might go into a job and it not work out, or it not be what you'd imagine it to be.
You might have got sacked and moved on.
Sacked, redundant.
Yeah.
You know, you might have decided that, you know, it's too far travel or whatever, but that's okay. But it's about sticking to, I guess, what your goals are. And I think you've really proven to us today that you can change career paths. You can be standing on the edge of, you know, wanting to quit and then turning it around again. I think there's a lot of lessons in that. So thank you so much for coming on today. It's been really great chatting with you. And, you know, I'm sure I'll speak for myself and Matt. If you've got any questions about anything to do with trying to land your first passive house
Call Jackson.
client, call Jackson.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you, gents.